Welcome to the Phoenix Prosperity Podcast, where wealth meets legacy. Join your host, Tim Fergestad, as we explore the journeys of Phoenix's finest to success and beyond.
Hello, this is Tim Fergestad. Thank you for joining us. And joining us today is Sean Brown, a healthcare and technology leader and CEO of Soul Horizon, who's driven large-scale digital adoption and innovation across multiple industries. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you. So what sort of different industries have you been in before you started Soul Horizon?
Oh, geez. My career started off in manufacturing. I'm a mechanical engineer by background.
Okay.
I'm the type of kid who used to pull apart his toys and phones to my parents' dismay and then try to put them back together.
Nerd. I love it.
Yeah, I know. So you're biomedical engineering. I wanted to go into that, but we didn't have that program at the school I went to. And anyway, so I went into engineering. I did aerospace for several years, actually 3D printed, titanium parts for major fighter jet platforms for production. Really cool technology and amazing. But I had an opportunity to go back to business school, did that, and ended up going into consulting for digital. I cut my teeth doing some programming. I actually launched an app on the App Store for a little bit. Fell in love with programming, and so that's what led me down the digital path. And that ultimately led me to Abbott Labs, which is a large medical device manufacturer. They were going through COVID at the time. Digital really took off. I came in to, be a part of the initiatives that we're leading. How do we digitize some patient care and follow up?
Okay.
And
they have a few campuses. Where were you for that, for Abbott?
I was in their Austin group. They have a large neuromodulation group out there that works on spinal cord stimulation, deep brain stimulation.
Okay, excellent.
So I did that for about 4 years when the opportunity came to come and join Soul Horizon and run this and have an opportunity to impact patients a little bit closer. I saw lots of opportunities as I worked with patients in the pain space, and being one step closer to patients at the practice level was really appealing to me. So we made the jump, moved from Texas to Arizona, and now we're here.
Excellent. And you endured your first summer.
We endured our first summer. Yes, it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Yes, it still felt like I was melting all the time, but we got through
it. Did the family have a pool? Have access to a pool?
We did have a pool, so that definitely made it a little bit easier. Although I was surprised the pool started to feel a little bit closer to bathtub water in August.
Yeah, that'll happen. Yeah. The pool I have is actually ridiculously big. Because the original builder of my property, his wife was a dive coach. So we have high dive.
Nice.
We have 1 meter and 3 meter springboards and stuff, and it's 15 feet deep. So there's actually a thermocline. You can go swim down and it gets cold.
Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah. Ours is like a small little bathtub in the back of our yard. We just don't have that much of a backyard, but it cools you off for a little bit of time.
It does. What's funny to me is how you can get out and get chilly because it's so dry here. The evaporative cooling works so well. It's like 100 and some degrees and you're cold, shivering for a couple minutes, and then it goes away. But
I love being able to rely on the fact that things evaporate so quickly here. It's really nice.
Well, coming from the Midwest, we're both from Minnesota, right?
Yeah.
Evaporate. Yeah, you just get sweaty and sticky there. It doesn't really work. But here, if the humidity is under 20%, I take 100 degrees plus pretty well. You just got to make sure you hydrate because it does work.
I spent 2 years out in the South Pacific on Guam and the Pacific Islands out there, and that is humidity that you can cut through with a knife. You kind of walk out there and you just kind of push the water around your body with a towel. It doesn't actually dry off. So completely different animal here in Arizona.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So, can you give us sort of a snapshot of Soul Horizon?
Yeah, absolutely. So Soul Horizon is a growing group of podiatry practices. Our initial practice was a group called Foot and Ankle Specialists of Arizona. They had 5 practices and about 9 providers up in the northwest side of the valley. Great practice. It was started by a doctor by the name of Seth Clark. And the providers there are really fantastic. It's kind of a rarity to be able to step into a group and to just hear positive things throughout. Usually, when you take over a situation like this, you uncover a lot of skeletons pretty quickly.
Bad Google reviews, all
Yeah,
sorts of issues.
yeah. But what I really liked about Dr. Clark was he baselined his practice on transparency, meaning the providers had full transparency into what they were doing. Like compensation was never hidden. Like it was just very transparent. Loved that. And we've kind of leaned into that. They found a capital partner in North Rim Horizon. So North Rim Horizon is a local private equity group in Mesa, Arizona.
Okay.
And North Rim Horizon is kind of atypical when you think of like private equity groups. What I love about North Rim's model is that they have an indefinite hold approach, meaning they purchase portfolio companies and
Right.
they have no intention of selling them. Uh, you
Nice.
know, when you think about like traditional private equity, there's kind of this negative incentive. Like if you're going to flip a company in
Yeah.
3 years, like burning providers, burning staff, like
Yeah.
it's kind of like par for the course. But
Just
Northram's,
cut
yeah,
cut expenses and try to sell it again quick.
yeah, you got to boost the
Once
profit.
it's broken.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really attracted to Northram's model, and it's a long-term model, and they have committed capital to grow in this space, and it just makes it an exciting time to be here and to be working with this group.
Okay, so your goals there are to grow the number of practices, the just Horizon in general.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at both, purchasing practices where, providers are
Okay.
looking to, maybe reduce their administrative burden, liquidate some of their assets, and prepare for the future. We're also looking for the right partners in those situations. We also look to grow with de novos. So we, recruit providers. We open up new offices. We're actually in the process of opening up an office out in Austin, Texas, because we found a great provider to
Okay.
work with us out there. And anyway, and so we're hoping to be at somewhere between 30 to 50 providers in the next 3 to 5 years. So we've got a lot of
That's
growth ahead
awesome.
of us, and a great partner behind us.
Okay. Okay. So what other avenues are you trying to expand into besides podiatry? Or is it the things that complement it anyway that are needed within there besides I think you mentioned pain and some other specialties?
Yeah, when I think about podiatry and the types of patients that we serve, Uh, the core patient, about 53% of our patients are what I would deem high risk patients. These are patients that have had comorbidities like diabetes. They
Right.
may have had wound,
Cardiovascular disease. Yeah.
cardiovascular,
All sorts.
PAD.
Yep.
Um, and and those patients, if you actually look at it, I believe the CDC recommends that those patients should see a podiatrist every 3 to 6 months, which is actually more frequent than you see a dentist. But a lot of people don't know that, right? And when you look at those patients, a lot of those patients are facing cardiovascular issues, neurological issues,
Hmm.
like they're facing chronic pain due to like diabetic neuropathy, or they have peripheral arterial disease (PAD) that's also causing heaviness of legs, reducing their
Sure.
mobility.
That all
And
snowballs really really quickly if you it's not just it's not just quality of life being mobile and ambulatory but also your lifespan drops when you can't be mobile very
oh
quickly.
yeah, mobility is huge. I mean, when you look at like the 5-year mortality rate on amputations, major amputations below the knee, the 5-year mortality rate rivals many major cancers.
Wow.
20% of patients may not even leave the hospital because once you reduce someone's mobility, the comorbidities just creep up. Sure, the
Right.
amputation isn't the direct thing that kills them,
Sure,
right?
but they're their circulatory system was already hurting, and now you've reduced flow another 30% and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I really like about the podiatry space is it's serving a needed patient population.
Hmm.
It's very sticky, meaning it's pretty frequent.
Yep.
Patients come in constantly, and they should, because we serve an important role about uh, trying to catch disease states early, which oftentimes manifest in the feet first. And then secondly, taking off shoes in a primary care office, it's very disruptive to efficiency, right? And those guys need to see a lot of volume to make the economics work because of what the government's done with reimbursements rates over the
Sure.
period of time. So it's the right space for us to play in. And we have value to bring to the table. Um,
Okay.
and I think, as we grow and we get bigger, there's economies of scale that come along with that.
Okay. Okay. So, but back to the question on other things that complement the practice. Pain was one of them.
Pain, vascular, would be like the immediate synergies. Although what's been very fascinating is we've had some synergies on the wellness side. There's some
Mhm.
new technologies that have come out in the cash pay wellness piece of things that I think haven't really been explored before. But the thing with insurance is you look at insurance, and insurance only pays when you're sick, right?
Right.
And the reality is a lot of people, the boomer generation's getting older, they have disposable income, and they're not going to wait on insurance to approve whether or not they can get treatment, right? It's about taking ownership into their own hands and doing something about it. So, getting into like the cash pay wellness services, I actually think is, an interesting lever for us to explore.
Right. Right. A friend of mine I had on the show earlier this year, Clint Borman, has started. He grew a chain of physical therapy groups, and they had a big private equity sale and exit, and then he started up his own cash pay wellness clinic right now for a lot of those reasons you just said.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of providers are exploring that, but it's a difficult muscle to learn, right? A lot of these providers have only learned how to do insurance-based medicine, and so to learn a different modality is not an easy task.
Right. And uh, I don't know about that the patient population, but it's very important. It's just it can be very tricky. My wife did a pain fellowship with the Core Institute and was uh, ran a pain clinic for a while, and
Mm.
which can be very rewarding, but can also be very complicated. It depends on who you're helping with and for what. She did a lot of like you. I think you mentioned you in Austin, you worked on spinal stimulators and things like that. She focused on spinal back pain, not foot pain. But
Oh yeah.
um, anyway,
Well, a lot of the population, I think it's like 40% of the population will experience low back pain at some point in their lives. And so that's also a
yep.
very good space to be in.
How about foot pain? It's just talking to you, my foot's starting to hurt. What percentage of the population has foot issues in their life?
Oh gosh, I wish I knew that number off the top of my head. I don't, but it really doesn't take that much to like sit and think about like all the people I personally know, myself included. I've had foot pain as well, and I gotta
Right.
go see my own providers. Like foot pain, you're on your feet all the time, and they play such a critical role. So whether it's like plantar fasciitis pain that you're getting on the bottom of your feet, or
Right.
neuropathy, or ingrown toenails, we've seen a lot of like toenail fungus. I think my one of my providers likes to ask patients, about their toenails, and ironically, it's the spouses that say, "Oh yeah, that toenail bugs me," right? That toenail really bugs me.
That's funny. But no, it's my daughter's in a boot right now for turf toe. She got at the end of marching band
Oh,
season.
oh man.
It's just yeah, it's nobody's immune.
Well, and the interesting thing is it's really hard to heal on your own. Like I think about like plantar fasciitis. I dealt with about plantar fasciitis, and
My
you
dad
know,
had that.
yeah,
Yeah.
by itself, what ends up happening is you end up adjusting and walking differently, and you'll
Hmm.
introduce injuries on the other foot, right? As a result.
Right.
And you're like, how do you do this? You really need someone who's specialized who can, either give you an orthotic to offload, boot to offload, like so that your body can heal and get back to
Sure.
back to
And
operating.
yeah, and it goes up the chain too, right? You start walking with a funny gait, your hips get jacked, then you get a back pain that way, and all sorts of stuff.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
But it's not okay. So it's interesting. So it is a bit of a challenge, even though they're recommended to see every 6 months, for example. It's not necessarily covered.
Well, what we see is there's generally a lack of awareness in that, oh, you should go see a podiatrist. Like most people are surprised when I say the CDC recommends that you see a podiatrist every 3 to 6 months. Like, whoa, I've never heard of that. Well, it's because it's just not widely known by people. And like one of our missions is to make it more well known, right? What I love about podiatrists, and I think about like their schooling is most doctors they go to 4 years of school, and then they have their residency afterwards, and then some go on to do fellowships, and it's very broad.
Right.
Um, the podiatrists go to a specialized school. They're only focused on below the feet. Just kind of tells you how complex it is, right? And how specialized it is. But ironically, what happens is a lot of patients get stuck in their primary care, and primary
Right.
care is a very important. Like they're the first defenders of health. But the reality is like if you get stuck at primary care and never actually get to a specialist, it can take longer. Sometimes the damage can get worse because they're not thinking about everything that goes on in the foot, and so podiatrists do play a very specialized role in the healthcare group.
Sure. Sure. And you're looking to grow uh, de novo, but also you said you're acquiring some other groups and goals for 2026.
I mean, goals for 2026, I'd love to be at 20 providers by the end of 2026. I guess we'll see. So, we're recruiting actively. We're knocking on doors. I've tried to take crumble cookies into offices just to get to talk to the provider. The biggest challenge I've had is just getting past the front desk, right? Like the front desk treats me more as a sales rep when I go to try to
Yeah.
talk to the provider. And they and hey, I get it. We have them too. They got to erect barriers so that the doctor gets to stay focused on what they do.
Sure.
But it you know the challenge goes back to how do you help providers understand that there may be better ways for them to unlock their net worth, make it do more for
Hmm.
them
Right.
while reducing their administrative burden alone. Like I
Right.
do this full time, and to sit and think that Dr. Clark was doing this job and seeing a full load of patients, it blows my mind. I don't know how he did
Right.
it because it's a lot of work.
For sure. For sure. And I think the return on his time is probably best elsewhere.
Oh well, now he works 3 days.
Manage. Yeah. Okay. He's
He
doing all right.
work, he works 3 days a week and gets to go on vacation, and I think he's really enjoyed having the ability to leave clinic and leave clinic at clinic, right? Where
Right.
you're not taking home clinic work, you're not trying to do accounting and CEO and manage staff relations and all of that
Right.
in the back end. It's just a lot of administrative work. And so it's really fascinating because the guys at Northrim, who's the financial group behind us, two of the guys came from Eye Care Partners, which was a large
Hmm.
consolidator of
Okay.
ophthalmology practices.
Okay.
And I remember talking to them because we will sometimes talk to providers who are interested, but they always sit and think, oh, I'll grow on my own and then I'll come. And we say, hey, look, we're going to be here the long term. So whenever you're ready to come join us, you can come join us. But ironically, you know, the guys that would say that at Eye Care Partners, they used to get the same thing, and they would say that providers would eventually, over like 12 months, would realize, oh man, I could grow a lot faster and a lot better if I, you know, uh,
Could delegate some of these
de-
responsibilities.
delegate some of it, work with a capital partner who has cash that can infuse into the business. Like when I think about the economics of it, like if I'm a single provider, I'm making X salary, I own the practice. For me to bring on another provider, I'm essentially going to be funding that other provider's livelihood
Yep.
until they, for 6 to 12 to 18 months until they get going. And it's like, you got to take on that risk. You're going to be doing marketing. Like, your role changes from being a provider to being a business administrator. And that can be a difficult transition. Some can do it. Some probably should delegate it.
Right. I have some friends who are in that space, and one is like that, and the other two were overachievers, and one had an exit. He sold to private equity, and the other one's still running his shop that way, and he's content for now, but he manages to do it. He's gotten good at it, right? I think so he's put in some good people, which helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Sean, as you wrap things up here, I have a couple of one question I've introduced lately, one is, what have you done in the last 12 months that's changed your life? Well, you moved to Arizona. That's a big one.
That has been a big change, and obviously starting this gig has been a big change, right? Going from corporate world where you're doing a 9 to 5, and moving into this type of role where you get to kind of call the shots, or as I like to joke, I get to be the one that makes the red tape.
Nice.
That has been thoroughly enjoyable.
Okay, very cool. And reflection question:
Yeah.
What do you wish you knew sooner about building wealth or success earlier in your career?
Oh, one thing that I've come to realize is there's this quote by Jeff Bezos, which is, I think, only focus on what makes your beer taste better. It comes from the podcast Acquired. If you ever have a chance to listen, it's great. I love that podcast. But the premise of the quote was, a lot of times we focus on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is you should recognize what you're really good at and outsource everything else, right? To other people that are really good at it. So for example, like I know marketing, and could I go and do some of our digital marketing and grow our practice? I could. Is that the best use of my time?
Right.
Probably not, right? Like, the best use of my time is let someone else go do that, pay them their dues to go do that, and then I get to go focus on thinking about how to grow our business and thinking about the strategic side and the execution and new initiatives, right? Like, that's the better use of my time. And I don't think I fully realized that, because up until early on in my career, I was a yes guy, right? Everything that came in, yeah, I'll do that. I can do that,
Okay.
right? And being able to learn how to say no, or to delegate, and can, I think, unlock your wealth faster. So that's one thing. I would say the second thing has been, like, the more that I focus on other people's wealth and creation,
Mm-hmm.
the more it will come back, right? Like,
Right.
if I sit and I focus on my wealth and my creation, it just doesn't generate, right? But the minute that I sit and I think more about, like, my providers, like, I'm really concerned about my providers, making a good living, right? Obviously, I need to make sure my investors also make a good living, right? And so there's a little bit of,
Yep.
tension in making that work. But spending and investing a lot of time and focus on making that happen returns dividends, right? It builds trust, and it builds camaraderie in the group. And that's been something that I've come to learn over the last, I'd say, 12 months.
That's reminds me of the Zig Ziglar quote, right? You can have everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want.
Yep, exactly.
Right. All right, Sean, if people would like to connect with you or learn more about Soul Horizon, where can they go? What should they do?
You can go to our website at www.soulhorizon.com. We have a form at the bottom. Feel free to fill it out. It comes right to me, and I'd be happy to reach out and connect. Otherwise, I do LinkedIn quite a bit. You can search me on LinkedIn. I know there's a lot of Sean Browns out there, but I love working on LinkedIn. I love connecting. I think it's a great platform. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Message me over LinkedIn. I'll happily respond through that platform.
All right. Excellent. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching today. Thank you very much, Sean Brown, for joining us and sharing your insights into industry, podiatry, and business health space here in Arizona.
Thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
Inspired by our guests? Visit PhoenixProsperityPodcast.com/guest and join us on the show and share your success story with Tim. The spotlight awaits.